Two tiny buttons. That's all it took. Out of everything on the Xiaomi 17 Ultra, the powerhouse specs, the advanced camera system, the premium materials, it was two small circular volume buttons that completely caught me off guard. And not because they're new, but because they feel like 2010 all over again. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps me keep bringing you more tech breakdowns like this one. The Xiaomi 17 Ultra brings back something we haven't really seen in years: round, individually separated volume buttons with etched plus and minus symbols. If you've been into smartphones long enough, you instantly know what that reminds you of: the iconic design of the iPhone 4. And that's what makes this detail so interesting. In 2026, smartphone design has become incredibly predictable. Flat frame, glass front and back, big camera bump, elongated volume rocker, power button underneath, rinse and repeat. Even flagship phones start blending together. So when a brand makes even a tiny change, especially one that taps into nostalgia, it stands out more than it probably should. The iPhone 4, released back in 2010, wasn't just another phone, it was a design reset. Apple moved away from the curved plastic look of the iPhone 3GS and introduced a flat metal frame sandwiched between two glass panels. That design language became the blueprint for modern smartphones. Even today, a lot of flagships follow that same flat-sided approach. But one of the most distinctive details on the iPhone 4 were those circular volume buttons. Separate, minimal, precision machined. They felt mechanical in a way that modern buttons rarely do. They weren't just functional, they had personality. And interestingly, almost no other manufacturer really adopted that design. Most Android phones stuck with a single elongated rocker. It's efficient, sure, but it's also kind of boring. That's why seeing those round buttons on the Xiaomi 17 Ultra feels so unexpected. It's such a small hardware choice, but it creates a completely different emotional response. Hardware buttons are the last physical interactions we have with our phones. Everything else is glass and software. So when a company pays attention to that physical touch point, it matters more than you'd think. Now, to be clear, the Xiaomi 17 Ultra isn't copying the iPhone 4 outright. Beyond the buttons and the flat frame, this is a very modern flagship. You've got cutting-edge hardware, a super capable camera system, and in the Leica edition, an even rotating camera ring that adds its own unique twist. It's clearly a 2026 device. But that subtle callback, those two tiny circular buttons, adds character in a way that spec sheets can't. For a lot of tech fans, the iPhone 4 wasn't just another device. It was the first phone that felt premium, futuristic, and carefully engineered down to the smallest detail. For some people, it was the first phone they ever held. That first interaction sticks with you, and sometimes it's the smallest elements that leave the biggest impression. Modern smartphone design has reached a point where innovation is incremental. Faster chips, slightly better cameras, brighter displays. Important upgrades, yes, but visually, it's hard to be surprised anymore. That's why a tiny design decision can feel refreshing. It breaks the pattern. It reminds you that hardware can still have personality, even if it's just two small metal circles on the side of a phone. Some people might say it's silly to get nostalgic about volume buttons, and maybe it is, but design is emotional. The way a device feels in your hand, the tactile click of a button, that's part of the experience. It's the bridge between hardware and software. And in a world where everything is becoming more virtual and less physical, those details stand out even more. Now, what Xiaomi did with the 17 Ultra isn't revolutionary. It's not a radical redesign, but it's a thoughtful nod to one of the most iconic smartphones ever made. And honestly, I'd love to see more of this. Not copying for the sake of copying, but reintroducing classic design elements that worked, that felt special, that gave devices personality. Because if this is what it takes to make smartphones feel less predictable in 2026, then I'm all for it. Sometimes it only takes two tiny buttons to remind you why you fell in love with tech in the first place. What's your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section. See you in the next video. Take care.